Hello and welcome to 2016 Taking Back Your Life series. I will let me introduce myself first. My name is Clark Garrison. Of course, a lot of you remember me or know me from my radio show, which I've had now since 2009, The Conversation, and others know me as the owner of Survival Radio Network. But very few know that I actually started both platforms based off a book I wrote back in 2009 called How to Survive the Next 365, right here. And essentially, it was founding principles 12, actually, that I felt helped me get back to some sanity that was going on in my life at that time. And so, what I decided to do is do a really cool, hopefully you think it's cool, series using Google Hangout and inviting some of my friends that I've had the pleasure of interviewing or knowing over these many years, and know that they're experts in their leading fields. Some keynotes right here for information on who's going to be coming up on this series, or more information about Taking Back Your Life series. Just go to my website at clarkgarrison.com. And if you're not sure how to spell it, it's right here in the little presentation line. So clarkgarrison.com, you'll see more about it. You also see our upcoming guests, as well as you'll be able to see links to our previous shows, which will then take you to our YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel is simply youtube.com/Clark Garrison. Keep it simple. And you'll be able to see some edited versions of all of the interviews that we're doing in this series. So let me bring on our guest tonight. Without further ado, my guest tonight is the founder of Helping Others Transform, and lifestyle improvement organization dedicated to helping women, children, and families declutter their lives, both inside and out, so they can be, do, and have the very best. Her passion for helping others transform is a result of her overcoming her own personal life challenges, fears, and circumstances to become a successful and grounded mother of four, entrepreneur, educator, author, and life coach. Please welcome to this platform the one and only Angel Richards. What's going on, Angel?
Hey, how are you?
So like on my show, I normally have the clap applause going, but we're just going to make there you go. There you go.
I'm gonna clap for myself.
Right. Absolutely. Well, it's great to always have you back. As many may know who's followed me over the years, you were one of the first guests that I've had in the first year of the show. And we've had you come back a few times. And you always have an insightful position on what you do, because we talked about this off air, is that you're not just talking about something you read or studied, you actually are living it. So it's part of who you are, this whole journey of yours.
Absolutely.
So let me dive in, because I got a lot of questions I want to get off my chest. First and foremost, for you, understanding what clutter does in your life certainly hits home hard. Do you mind telling our viewers your story?
No, I don't mind. No. How I got here to teaching women how to declutter their lives and really detox from all the chaos and confusion that they're dealing with is because back in 2010, I had my moment of clarity. It was also my meltdown, my breakdown, and even a suicidal moment for me. Oh. And I had just come out of a relationship that was unhealthy. And prior to that relationship, I had been in an abusive relationship. So I was really down and out, insecure, didn't really know what self-love was, trying to figure things out. I was a career woman. I had that end going together, but the rest of it was falling apart. And so I was in this network marketing company, and I learned about life coaching. To be honest, outside of being an educator, I wasn't an avid reader or anything. I didn't go to conferences, workshops. Personal development, self-help was not a part of my lifestyle. And so that's probably why I was so cluttered. And so in 2010, I met a life coach and started working with him and his wife. And long and behold, I realized that I had to get out of that relationship and I had to get my ish together fast. And I did. I was in this network marketing company. I was helping women lose weight. And I was talking to them about the challenges because I realized it wasn't just the weight they wanted to lose. It was all the crap that was causing them to gain the weight. And so I was kind of doing some, unofficial coaching. And I realized that this is something I was passionate about, that I love doing, and that I was qualified to do because I had my own set of issues that I had overcome. Had I overcome all of them at the time? No. But I believe that if you're one step ahead of someone, or if you know one more thing that someone doesn't know, that you can help them. And so that's what I started doing. It's so funny. And I'm reminded every year when I have to re-register my company that I went a whole year without registering my company because there was so much fear and doubt behind it.
Right.
So hot coaching, was unofficial for a whole year before I was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. I can do this. I've been called to do this. And so I was able to overcome a lot of mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, a lot of financial and relationship clutter, which is just really all the confusion and chaos that is happening in our lives internally and externally. It's not just like tidying up the closet or getting books on the shelf straight. That's clutter as well. But I'm talking about the clutter that is really impacting your life and keeping you stuck and frustrated. So for me, especially being a single mom of 4, it was just something that was necessary if I was going to create a good life for myself and for my kids. And I'll be honest, I was not the best mom prior to 2010 because of all the stuff that I was going through. There was just a lot of hurt and pain. And it was almost like, don't you see me going through stuff? Don't you see me struggling? Go play. And so as I learned how to become a better woman, I became a better mother, a better friend, a better girlfriend, and all that together. So really recognizing the clutter in your life is important, and understanding that it impacts every area of your life, honestly.
And by the way, for those who are listening, you guys can, if you have questions or comments, feel free. There's a Q&A button off to the, it's right on the little box there. Just press it and a little question box will come up. You can leave it there. Or if you're on the actual event page, you can type it in there. I'll see it. But either way, if you got questions as we go along, I will read your questions to Angel live. So Angel, let's start here. I always like to start with definitions. How do you define clutter?
I define clutter by anything and anyone that is preventing you from living your best life. Anything and anyone that's preventing you from living your best life, period. That's clutter.
There you go. And you know what? We're going to separate them in a couple of compartments. Let's start with the more obvious. You mentioned several types of clutter, but let's start with physical, because I think people readily can see that because it's in their face. They can look down and see stuff over the floor or books, junk piled up next to their desk or what have you. The back seat of their car looks like they're moving somewhere.
Yeah.
When we talk about physical clutter, at least when you're coaching or going through it with the women that you're speaking with, do you believe a person's mess, and we'll call it that, or clutter in this case, is an indirect or direct representation of perhaps the clutter that they may have on an emotional or spiritual level in their lives?
Yes, I do. Now let's be clear. So when I say physical clutter, when I use the term physical clutter with my clients, I talk about your physical body, disease, ailments, obesity, different things like that is when I talk about physical. Environmental clutter is what you're talking about. And it's just the environment around us that I think it does represent some kind of chaos that's going on, whether it's mentally, emotionally. It could be just stemming from work, stress, and it's something that we'll always deal with because you do have people who are OCD. And so you may not find the environmental clutter in their homes. However, a part of that OCD is clutter because it causes you to be obsessive about certain things and compulsive about certain things. And that increases stress level, anxiety. So that in itself can create clutter. But I do believe that like the environmental clutter is huge. And I know just for myself personally, when I was depressed, I had, I would wash clothes, dry clothes, and piles and piles of clothes just sitting on the bed. Or I would tell the kids, fold the clothes. I would have all these nicely neat stacks, but I was laying on the other side of the bed, depressed as hell. And I wouldn't put the clothes from the bed to the drawer. That's how down and out I was.
Right.
how sad I was. And I think that, there's even been moments in my life where that's just how lazy I was, which is a form of clutter. Just, not prioritizing and not putting forth your best. That's, if your environment isn't neat and clean, doesn't have to be perfect. And I have 4 children. So my house doesn't always stay perfect, but we clean up, and I think that understanding that it's going to happen and just recognizing that if it's happening and you realize that, oh, wow, I haven't washed the dishes in a week, or, I haven't done the laundry. For example, I know someone who does laundry like around every 3 to 4 months, and it is piled high.
You're kidding.
He doesn't go anywhere. So he wears his uniforms to work, and he doesn't need really weekend clothes. He doesn't go anywhere. Piled high. And that is a form of clutter. Not just because the clothes are piled high, but what is causing you not to want to function normally? Sure. Wash your clothes once or twice a week, or at least every other week. So sure. You see it in men and women, you see it in many different ways, but I think being aware of it, so that if you see, it's starting to become a habit, or you see that it's starting to get out of control, then you have to address really why it's happening. What's preventing you from going to do the laundry? Are you focused on something? Are you consumed with something? Are you depressed about something? So yeah, environmental clutter, I believe, is a reflection. And sometimes it's just procrastination, which can be a type of mental clutter. It's something that's causing you not to get your house in order. And I believe that when you have all of that clutter around you, like I'm also an educator and I like to keep my classroom clean and neat. I believe it's a great learning environment for the students and for me to be able to go in and teach. I don't see how teachers have classrooms that are dirty and messy and, the kids come in, and I think that everybody's functioning on chaos because that's just the environment they're in. So when you have your stuff together, it also helps you to just live a certain type of lifestyle. You have expectations for yourself and for the people around you. Like my students, they know my expectations. And I think that they have the expectation of me maintaining that for them, since that's the environment I've created. And same thing with my clients. We talk about it all the time. And I have some before and after pictures that will blow your mind. So we always start there, always.
So you mentioned that there's a distinct difference between environmental and physical. So talk to us about physical. Explain exactly what that is. And I'm sure many of us will raise our hands and say we probably are guilty of it.
Well, so physical clutter happens to be one of my challenges.
All right.
I love eating out. I love fast food, even if I try to eat healthy fast food. I love Starbucks, and I'm not a huge fan of cooking. Although I know how to cook, I do cook, and I cook well. It's just not something that I'm rushing to the kitchen to do. And so it creates physical clutter where you become overweight, where you become very tired. You are not as focused. You're not energetic. You start to deal with all types of, issues with your body. And I physically can feel that as a result of not maintaining a certain weight or muscle tone and things like that. When you give up on your body gives up on you. And I have experienced it. And to some extent experiencing it now, just having a little extra weight on me now is causing increased back problems, and so I have to look at the whole domino effect of having the extra weight. Now I have back issues. I'm tired. I don't have the energy, all those things are going to domino out of control. So I've, kind of reined it in and said, I got to lose weight. I got to exercise, drink more water, eat healthier, cut back on the fast food. Cutting back on the fast food and eating out is going to increase my bank account. And so it increased quality time with the kids because we're not all running in with our own bags to our own beds. I mean, that really is a type of clutter that people overlook or don't really consider, and they don't consider the effects of it.
Well, absolutely. I appreciate you kind of breaking that down. I never thought about the two as being totally separate, but you're absolutely 100% right. So let's delve into my favorite, which is emotional clutter. I know, right? How does emotional clutter affect relationships, jobs, goals, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, well, let's start with relationships. You drive people crazy when you have emotional clutter. Emotional clutter, and it really stems from strongholds and soul ties and things that you don't want to let go. And it causes you to become this person who is sometimes controlling. You know, you can be controlling because maybe you feel like you've lost control in a certain area. You could be overbearing because maybe somebody's overbearing with you. Just emotionally, you're not available. Some people are just, they isolate themselves, they disconnect and distance themselves from other people, which can become lonely and depressing. But in relationships specifically, when you're dealing with a lot of your own emotional clutter and you don't deal with it, okay, it has to be dealt with. If you don't deal with your own emotional clutter, you transfer that negative energy to the other person. And sometimes they don't understand why they're down and out, or why they're frustrated, or why they're aggravated. But it's really just your energy, especially if it's somebody you're being intimate with and you're exchanging that energy with them physically, you are transferring all that negativity, you know? And so we have to be mindful of that and who we share ourselves with, because we pick up that clutter that they're carrying, and emotionally it can drain us. I've been in relationships where I'm literally like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I think it's you. Like, because I'm good, I'm happy, I'm positive, I'm motivated, I'm driven, I'm making moves, and you're just over there with the sad face all the time. There's always a problem. You're mad about something, and it's just always negative. And after a while, you find yourself being negative. You find yourself aggravated and frustrated, or you find yourself snapping for no reason. Or a lot of the times what happens is, when you're around people, it could be friends, families, coworkers, you start to dim your light, you start to shrink back, and you start to, you know, kind of, you don't want to seem too happy around somebody who's sad, and you don't want to seem too motivated around someone who's unmotivated, and you don't want to seem too driven around somebody who has no vision, no goals, no dreams. So you start to shrink back. And so their clutter is now transferring over to your life, and you shrink back, and that's going to lead to you not reaching your goals, not living the life you want, not being happy. So, I mean, it just really comes back full circle. Any one of them will affect every area of your life. I promise you. I mean, I can't say it enough. It really, really does. You can't just try to isolate and say, okay, you know, I had, you know, at one point, everything was going very well for me spiritually, financially, my career and everything, but I was having a lot of issues in the relationship department. And so I felt like, well, you know, that's just one area, whatever. But that one area was affecting everything. And eventually I lost all of that. $0. You know, became a single mom. I mean, I was already a single mom because I had 2 children when I was a teenager. So I already had to deal with that emotional clutter. But then getting into these relationships, you know, looking for love and not really knowing myself, no self-love for myself, getting into these situations, and, you know, I lost everything. I still am amazed at where I had gotten myself. I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't going to church. I had no money. I was overweight. I was depressed. I was suicidal. And I'm just like, I cannot believe 2 years ago, you know, I had a certain amount of money in the bank. I had a banging body because I was going to the gym. I was spiritually plugged in. It's just, I'm serious. I was fine. No, I'm just joking. But I just 2 years later, here I am, you know, broke, busted, and disgusted.
Wow.
Because of emotional clutter that I picked up from somebody I was in a relationship with. And see, as a fixer, because that's who I am, us fixers, we think that it's okay. I can fix them. I can help them. It's not going to affect me. And it does. It does. It's just, it's not your battle. It's not.
So it sounds like what you're saying is, even when you have your own ish together, if you bring in a toxic person into your life who has that, has their own clutter, it can basically rub off on every part and every factor of your life, and then you start breaking down, right?
Exactly. And people have to understand, being tired is not clutter. PMSing is not clutter. Everybody has their moments.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No one's perfect. Everybody has their moments. But if your moments turns into days and weeks and months and years, got to deal with that.
And once again, guys, if you got questions, feel free to, there's a Q&A button on the event page on the actual player. Click on that, type in your question, hit enter, or you can leave it on the event page. I want to take us back a peg. You mentioned, I don't even know if you remember saying it, but you said something which I wrote down, and it's, can't read my own handwriting, functioning on chaos or in chaos. right? And I love that statement because so many of us do it, but we don't really know that we're doing it, right? We think it gets to the point when chaos becomes a normal part of your life.
Uncomfortable.
There you go. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what that means to be able to function in chaos and not know you're in chaos?
Absolutely. That is it's actually a really common problem because a lot of people, there's a group of people who don't want to admit they need improvement in their life, or they have issues, or they need to get things together. They don't want to admit that, right? So they're functioning in chaos because they don't want to acknowledge that there's chaos there. Then there's a group of people, and I've come into in contact with a lot of these people and have dated some of these people, where they're just used to just disorder and dysfunction. They're used to it. That's how, my mom was, or that's how my mom and my dad's relationship was, or that's how my household was, or my childhood. And so they operate out of this dysfunctional area, this dysfunctional place. And they think it's normal because everybody around them is that way. Or people will say, well, that's just the way I am. It is what it is. And you have to understand that when somebody tells you that, or you see that somebody is used to dysfunction, they're accustomed to it, they're functioning in dysfunction because they think it's normal, they think it's okay, that's unhealthy. It's unhealthy. And I come in contact with a lot of clients that have such a hard time walking away from unhealthy relationships that are completely dysfunctional because they really are trying to grasp on to like any little bit of good or positive or hope that's there, or potential, instead of seeing it for what it really is. It's dysfunctional. If you look back, it's been dysfunctional. The parents are dysfunctional. The uncle and the aunt's dysfunctional. And this person is operating in dysfunction. And you bump heads with them because they don't realize it's a problem for them. And so a lot of people function in chaos as if it's nothing. I see it at work. I see it I see it within some circles that I'm in. I see it just with my clients. I see it on social media, of course. We should not be posting our dysfunction and all that craziness on social media, but people do. And you can see, because they're just venting, that they have all this chaos that they're going through and living through. And they say it one day, this, and that, but the next day, they're back into it, or they're back friends, or they're back dating, or whatever the case is. And no one's healed. No one's decluttered. No one's detoxed. No one's, gotten to a healthy place. And so you just jump right back into dysfunction again, and you try to function in it. And it's just like if you have a wobbly tire and you're like, well, I'm gonna ride it on out till I get home. I mean, it's gonna keep coming off, and it's right. But you're messing up the rim. And that's what happens when we try to keep riding and riding and riding through our troubles, our challenges, our fears. We just, you have to push past your fears, but some people are just holding on to them, and they just rolling with them, and you're not getting anywhere, and you're actually damaging what is good. What good is in your life becomes ruined because you're trying to function in this dysfunction, in this chaos, instead of pulling your butt over, getting your tire fixed, getting your ish together, and moving forward so that you can be smooth sailing and take that road trip to where it is you really want to be. So people function all the time in dysfunction because they think it's okay. They think it's normal. And some people some people, I will say, they know it's not okay. They know it's not normal. However, they don't want to do the work to overcome it, which means working on themselves, working on better habits and better choices, and letting go of some things, releasing some people, forgiving. They don't want to do all that work. So they just say, well, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as it seems. Yeah, and we know it is.
And you also touched on a good point a few seconds back when you talk about people who, God, I'm having a brain fart. So I'm going to come back to that because I've got you're dropping so many nuggets here. So here's where I want to go right now, because I want the people who are listening to gain some information, not just recognize everything that you're talking about in themselves. For you talked about how far you had fallen and the numerous times you had fallen.
Yeah.
Talk about one or two things that you did to pick yourself back up, or to start the process of eliminating these forms of clutter in your life.
Absolutely. Wow. Two things. I give you 200 things that I did, but two things, I would say the top two things that changed my life was, one, I started making non-negotiable decisions. And I teach that to my clients all the time. We talk about my two favorite words, which is non-negotiable and irrelevant. And so I started making some non-negotiable decisions about who I was going to have in my life and who I was not, what I was going to deal with, what I wasn't going to deal with, where I was going to go, where I wasn't going to go. And this starts to piss people off because it's like, no, I'm not going. Well, we always go there, but I'm not going there anymore. Or we always do this. Well, I'm not doing that anymore. Or, he really likes you, but I'm not dealing with him anymore. And so people sometimes have a hard time accepting the fact that when you come to terms with, I want to do better, I want to be more, I want to have more, I want to live my best life, I want God's best for me. Some people will have a hard time with that because they don't know how that's going to affect the friendship, that they don't know how that's going to change things for them. They don't know how to do it for themselves. And so making non-negotiable decisions became, something that I just did, and it changed my life. It cut out a lot of people. It cut out a lot of chaos and confusion. It streamlined things for me because I wasn't trying to be everywhere and everyone to everybody. And so non-negotiable decisions was really huge for me. And I think that as women, we are nurturers, we're loving, we're caring. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We can be people pleasers. We want to look good, and not just look good, but I'm talking about look good in the eye of other people. And so we don't say no enough. We don't say yes enough. I think that that's the other thing that I will talk about is I started to say yes to me. I started to say yes to me. I was always saying yes to everybody else and always giving myself, even if I didn't want to. And so one of my non-negotiable decisions was to say no when I mean no, and to say yes when I mean yes. And I started that. No, I don't want to do this. Don't do that. And people had to get used to that because I was always, just going with the flow. But I started to say yes to myself. Yes, I love myself. Yes, I can, have the best. I can have a good relationship. I could be a great mom, or I can have the house that I want, or drive the car that I want, or have the business that I want. Yes, I can do this. And I think for me, saying yes to myself at first was very hard, which is where non-negotiable decisions come in, because I would say yes, and then I would backtrack. I would backpedal all the time when I would say yes to something, whether it be an opportunity, a relationship, whatever. I would jump right in and say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm not afraid. I'm going to do it afraid. I'm going to be unstoppable. And then something, internally, that internal clutter, that whether it be mentally or sometimes emotionally, I would start to feel like, but I can't, who am I? Who am I kidding? Let me stop trying to hype myself up. And I will go back to saying no to myself. And so making non-negotiable decisions, if you could it's two things. If you could start making non-negotiable decisions, don't give a damn about what anybody thinks or says. Do you make it non-negotiable, and then say yes to yourself. Yes, I want to live this life. Yes, I want to be this person, and then do whatever it takes to be that unapologetically, no explanations, no regrets. I stopped doing all of those things too. I know you said too, but I stopped apologizing. I stopped regretting stuff. I stopped explaining. Like, no is a complete sentence.
and I would imagine starting with small things, because people who are in that habit, it's hard probably for them to just do it, right? But starting with something as small as not saying you're going to be somewhere when you're not, right? I mean, because you don't want to hurt their feelings. Hey, can you come out to this thing on Thursday night at 7 p.m.? You can't, but you say, yeah, I'll try. Just something.
And you're not trying.
Right.
Just say no, it's okay.
Right.
Because this is what I've learned too, Clark, is people will tell you no.
Ooh.
Real fast. Real fast. The same people that you're trying to bend over backwards for and do things for, they will tell you no. I remember years ago, I was that person, like, somebody got a flat, they call me. If somebody's car wouldn't start, they called me for a jump. If somebody needed their kid to get dropped off at school, they called me. I was that person. If they were going to the club and it was a club they knew I wasn't going to, I was the babysitter. I was that person. And when I needed my tire fixed, or I needed a jump, or I needed a sitter, you hear that? Crickets.
Right.
The same people that I was bending over backwards for, saying yes when I should have been saying no, or when I really wanted to say no, wasn't even looking out for me. So I believe that if you don't look out for yourself, who else is? You know, it's not guaranteed. There's some good people. There's some people that are really, truly there for you. And then even within those people, they could be flaky, and not intentionally, but that's just human nature. No one's perfect. And I think that everybody has a little selfishness in them.
So I want to read a comment from Tina, a very nice comment to you. Powerful, no question, but our stories are so similar, even down to the children. This is just confirmation that I need to declutter. Thank you for the email invite. So absolutely. And that's what we want. We want confirmation that it's time to start doing the small things. And you know, no one said this is easy. You never said any of this is easy. Nope. In fact, you talk about it in many of your, everywhere I've seen you speak and say this is not for the faint of the heart.
Yeah, it's not easy, and that's why so many people give up on it. And you will find yourself going through the process. It's a journey. It is not. You're not going to like be clutter free and never have an issue, never have a problem, never feel a certain emotion. No, it's a journey, and we're all going to be there. But the goal is to be sad less, to be happy more. You know, that's the goal. Not saying you're never going to be hurt or sad or pissed off or whatever, but it's to decrease the amount of times that those negative emotions are there and increase the amount of times that the positive emotions are there. You know, we're trying to trump the bad days. That's the goal. And it's a day-to-day process. I tell people all the time, when I first started, it was one decision, one prayer, one day at a time, literally. And sometimes it's just even within one day, you have to pull yourself together a couple times. You know, when you want to go off on somebody or you just want to give up, you know, you have to keep empowering yourself and motivating yourself. But the thing about motivation is motivation is your motive and your action together. So you got to understand that you have to have a motive of what you're trying to do, but you have to put some action behind it. And a lot of times, especially with women, and I deal with clients all the time and just people in my community that don't put the action behind it. They want better, they want more, they have goals, they have dreams, they're fed up, they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, but then they don't put the action behind it to get themselves out of that space, to move past it. You got to constantly stay in action. You can't be overthinking, procrastinating. You got to just be in action. You got to just, you know, keep going and going and going and just doing your best. You're going to fall, but fall forward.
Right.
That's it.
I remember my previous statement. So I was talking about, I wanted to drive you in the direction of, you know, we just had New Year's Eve. And so at New Year's Eve, everybody makes their pledge of what they're going to change or do.
Sips tea.
Right. What now, whether that's, you know, I want to get a better job, a new relationship, et cetera, et cetera. I want to lose weight. I want to gain weight. I want to get stronger. All of these things that we tend to do. And I'm not even talking about the procrastination part. I'm talking about how clutter can affect. Can you talk a little bit about how doing those things are great? You can change and break up with your boyfriend and get another one, or leave that job and get another one. But if you don't fix the clutter stuff, you're just bringing the same junk mentally, physically, environmentally, whatever kind of lead into your new situation. And you keep going through this cyclical process. And eventually you start thinking it's everybody but you.
If you're the common denominator, it's you. Well, I know for me, when I started looking at, you know, why can't I keep a man? It's not all of them. It's me. It's me. and you know, it's funny because I had a friend who just hated that. Oh, you blaming yourself. You shouldn't. Because as women, especially, we're just used to blaming everybody else. You know, he hurt me. We get very victimized. He hurt me. He cheated on me. But he's been cheating on you. He was cheating on you before you got, you know, I literally have clients that say, you know, well, he cheated on me while we were dating and when we were engaged, and now we're married and he's cheating. He been cheating. He's been cheating. Like, this is not nothing new. Why are we so shocked? And it's not to be insensitive, but this is the reality of it. It's the same thing. Like, you know, if you're dealing, let's say, with a racist boss, he was racist and barely wanted to hire you, but he let you in because they had a quota to meet. And he's been riding you the whole time since you've been there. And he's nitpicking every little thing you do and, you know, writing you up and giving you low. He's been himself. This is the thing we got to understand. People, when they show you who they are, believe them. We hope and wish that people are going to change, when the reality is you can't change your prejudiced boss, or you can't change your cheating husband. You got to change you. And you may have to change your position, your role. You may have to move past that situation because you can't control people. We just want to control people. And I think that we're all secretly wishing and hoping that one day we will have that power. It doesn't exist. And so you only can control yourself. And you have to understand that as long as you keep carrying the clutter, you got the baggage, you have to start releasing those bags. And a lot of stuff that people are carrying, they don't even know why they're carrying it anymore. Like, I've had 60-minute sessions, 60 minutes. And in 60 minutes, somebody realized that they're not depressed, that they're not even angry. They've been telling themselves for so long that they were depressed or angry about a situation that happened before. But once we talk through it and work through it and dig deep and get to the core of everything, it's not even that. Maybe they're just unfulfilled, or they're not feeling significant in an area of their life, or they're just not contributing. They're not doing anything that matters to them. But they're linking that all back to, the breakup from 2000, or the job loss, or the storm, or whatever tragedy happened in their life. We hold on to that kind of stuff. And if you really sometimes dig deep enough, you realize that's not even a problem anymore. It's not even a problem anymore.
So if you're just dropping by, this is 2016 Taking Back Your Life. I'm talking with Coach Angel Richards, helping others transform. Statement I want to make. So is it safe to say the removing of clutter from your life creates clarity?
Absolutely. That's why I taught Clutter to Clarity.
With that being said, what does a person gain from having clarity?
Oh my God. Everything. Everything. When you have clarity, it doesn't mean things are going to be perfect. But when you have clarity, you know that, because it's clear that things aren't going to be perfect. When a person has clarity in their life, you can just see things for what they are. The illusion is no longer there. The mask is no longer there. It's like pulling back the veil and seeing life for what it is. This is where I'm at financially. This is where I'm at physically. This is where I'm at environmentally. This is where I'm at relationally. This is where I'm at spiritually. And when you have clarity and you could just realize this is where I'm at, period. Or this is who I am. Not the attitude, the sassy attitude. Well, this is who I am. This is how I am. Like it or leave it. No, but realizing, you know what, this is who I am. And so for me, I was always pretending to be somebody I wasn't. I was trying to keep up with people. I was trying to fit in all the time. And so at the end of the day, when I realized, this is who I am and this is me, period. And I got to love me and I got to own this. That sense of clarity just totally changed my life. I showed up on the job a different way. I showed up in relationships and in my business in a totally different way. When you just have clarity, clarity is everything. It literally will lead you to make better decisions. It will, when you have clarity, this is the cool thing about clarity. So when you shift from clutter to clarity, you're removing all the chaos and the confusion from your life, right?
Right.
And so then you have this sense of clarity where you see things for what they are. You're no longer making excuses or justifying things or trying to make something out of nothing. You see it for what it is. When you have that sense of clarity comes confidence. And so then you have confidence. And this is something I never had growing up. Being molested, being raped, abused, abandoned, those things really screwed me up. And I did not have confidence. I had really low self-esteem, no self-love, and no confidence. So all the decisions that I was making were tied into that bundle of just doubt and fear and anxiety and depression, right? So I had no confidence. The moment that I had clarity in 2010, when I had that moment of clarity, I was in my bathroom, I was crying, I wanted to kill myself. I was literally running through my head. If I commit suicide tonight, who's going to get my kids? And let me tell you how petty I was. I was like, okay, because my mom is grandma and she braid their hair in these grandma plaits and all this. And she's the one that says, well, it don't matter what they got on as long as they're clean. And I'm sitting there crying and I'm going through my emotions and I'm thinking if they stay with her. Their hair not gonna be done, and they're gonna be mishmash going to school, and they're my kids, you know. But I literally, because that was my reality, there was a part of me at my core that was done.
Wow.
I was so done, so done. But there was still that part of me that was like, I have way too much to lose. And I don't want my kids to be those kids that have to tell that story about their mom killing themselves. And so in that moment of just crying and everything, I got in front of the mirror and I was looking at myself in front of the mirror and I was just like, I love you. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. Talking to myself, it makes me get a little emotional. But
no,
I was
that's
just like,
okay.
I love you.
That's
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I just kept saying sorry to myself because I had put myself in that position. I had allowed that relationship to bring me down. I chose to hold on to the past. I chose not to forgive my violators. I was making decisions to continue to sabotage myself, to hurt myself, to settle for less. That was me, right? And so in all of that, I realized, you know, I got to do something different. And God spoke to me and said, it's not over. I wasn't even really at that point in my life. I'm not religious still, but I wasn't even spiritual. I wasn't even plugged in anymore. Remember, I told you I was not plugged in anymore. Right. But it was just the voice of God that said it's not over. I had no clue what that meant. And in my head, it was done. But things started to turn around and started to change. I started to make some non-negotiable decisions. But with that clarity, I started to see things clearly. And I asked God to give me supernatural clarity, to really show me what I needed to see, to reveal things to me. And he revealed so much to me, really, especially with the people that were in my life that were contributing to me being down and out and stuck. And so as I was getting more clarity, I was getting more confidence. And I was able to say yes, and I was able to say no, and I was able to say I might or I might not. I was able to really make decisions that were great for me, great for my kid, my kids, or great for my situation, my goals and dreams. And it wasn't a selfish act. It was really a self-loving act to say, you deserve better than this. And so I had the confidence to go after better. And with that confidence, I mean, comes courage. You know, you become braver every single day, but that level of intuition increases, your discernment increases, that wisdom is there because you're learning lessons from it all. I mean, this thing is powerful. Yeah. It really is. It really is.
So it sounds like I love your description because basically clarity is truth. So let's talk about, we've got a few minutes left. I want to make sure we get two things in. Let's talk about your clutter-free society. Why was it created and who is it for?
Well, it's created. The reason it's created is because of what we've talked about for the last 45 minutes, because there's a need. I started the clutter-free movement in 2010. Right. And so it was just, you know, I wanted to help women go from clutter to clarity. But after working with thousands and thousands of women, teaching classes and understanding what's really going on, I realized that I needed to build a community where women can actually go in and not just get information, but inspiration and confirmation on what it is that they need to be doing in their life. And so that's what Clutter-Free Society is about. It's a mixture of information, inspiration, motivation, but confirmation for women. Like the young lady said today, Tina, you know, it's confirmation. Women need to hear from other people who can be real and raw and honest and transparent, put their business out there, put their cards on the table. I've been very honest tonight because I don't have anything to hide. This is who I am. I'm not defined by my past. And so women need to hear these kind of conversations. And I actually teach classes like this monthly for Clutter-Free Society, because I think that you got to constantly be plugged in. You need to be fed, but it needs to be from someone who's going to give it to you real, give it to you raw, that's going to come from a place of love, but it's not going to let you drag your feet. They're going to push you and encourage you and motivate you and hold you accountable to what you say you want to do. And so Clutter-Free Society is all of that. And it really is birthed from this need, but also because as I started to elevate my life, I realized that there was really not a lot of people that I can connect with. As you start to let go of certain things and you start to elevate and move to a new level, it's hard to have certain conversations with people. You know, when I became an entrepreneur, it became even more lonely. That circle became even smaller because it's hard to have certain conversations with people. They think you're dreaming too big, or you're too ambitious or too motivated. And so it becomes an issue. But I wanted to create a community where that's no longer an issue. We all can win. We all can be beautiful and intelligent and successful. You know, it's really about having happiness. It's about success. It's about freedom. It's about community and connecting with other people who are not trying to kick you down, you know, because they're at the top, but they have their hand reached out saying, hey, what do you need? How can I help you? And so there's classes, there's videos, there's community, there's conversation. And it's just an amazing thing. It actually officially launches April 1st. So anyone who wants more information, if they go to helpingothers.transform.com, and click on Clutter Free Society, they could join the VIP list, and they actually get instant access to 3 coaching sessions that are going to walk them through clarity, confidence, and courage, just to kickstart the process. So April 1st, we will officially be launching and going live. And there's already like around 500 women on the wait list right now, ready for the doors, the bus open, and I'm so excited about it.
And I can't let you go without talking about a really cool challenge created, free 21-day challenge. Talk about that. And yeah, 21 days of anything, it becomes a habit, right?
Yeah, so I read that somewhere in a book, right? When I got on my whole self-help personal development kick, I learned that it takes about 21 days to create a new habit. And so when I went through my process of moving from clutter to clarity and really becoming clutter-free, there were lots of different things that I had to release and lots of shifts I had to make. And so in the 21-day challenge, I kind of narrowed it down to like the top 21 shifts, like, you know, moving from getting rid of overwhelm and anxiety. So moving from overwhelm to overflow, moving from frazzled to focus. There's a lot of shifts that women have to make so that they move from clutter to clarity. And so each day I walk them through the process. They get a journal so they can do some of the actual reflection and planning. And I mean, I don't even know how many, but I know over 1,000 women have taken the 21-day challenge. It's not fluff. It literally, some of the audios in one day can run anywhere from 15 to 40 minutes per lesson, really teaching you how to shift and how to make that change in your life. And there's days where women get stuck and they're like, I can't get past day 5.
Right.
I'm like, girl, keep going. But because there's certain days that are going to hit hard, and there's days that it's going to hit you and you're going to realize that's my stronghold right there. That's my stronghold. And then you can pause right there and work that out. But it's 21 days and it's fun, and it's all audio download, so you can listen to it on your way to work, at the gym, in the kitchen. It doesn't matter. And you don't have to do it all in, you know, I don't deliver it 21 days in a row. You get access to it all. So if you're like me and you like to get beastie and you just go through it all at one time, that's cool too. But I advise everybody to then go back through it and really, you know, work through the process and reflect on it.
Right. Wow. You know, I got to take the time to thank you for being a part of this journey. When I initially thought of this, taking back your life, you know, the thing is, I didn't want to bring on your mainstream people, your I won't say people, but mainstream topics, you know, because you hear about how to become successful, how to get control of things. And you tend to see these cookie cutter principles and ideologies. And I wanted to reach out and create the out of box thought concepts. And so clutter is rarely addressed in any book platform that I've been around a lot. And right now you're the main person that I know, the go-to person that I know when it comes to clutter. And you've been a huge part of my growth. You don't know, I know you work primarily with women, but you've certainly, I've watched you over the many years, and you've been consistent. You've been consistent, and I love that. And I had to have you on this program. So thank you again. Give your information out one more time before we wrap up. And I'm just going to give some little final thoughts after you do that.
It's helpingothers.transform.com, helpingothers.transform.com. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/hot coaching. And matter of fact, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Periscope. It's all at Hot Coaching.
Perfect. So guys, Taking Back Your Life is a 2-month series for those who did not see us at the beginning. It's going to be going on again through March and April. We're going to bring on some dynamic guests worldwide. We've got some people out of the country, in the country, from coast to coast that are really going to be dropping some nuggets and talking about, again, out of the box ideologies, things that you don't hear every day, but that are vital to your success, vital to you becoming a better version of you. You've heard about clutter today. I admonish everyone on this hangout to reach out to Coach Richards and get tutored. You know, the thing is, you got to get coaching. It's hard to do any of this stuff by yourself. It is practically impossible. I know you think you're strong. I know you think you're disciplined, but you have to have someone there for checks and balances to when you want to give up, that's going to hold your feet to the fire. And there's no better person that I know of than Coach Angel Richards down there in Florida having a ball, because it's never past 75 down there.
Yeah.
Killing me with those pictures. So please visit my website, clarkgarrison.com. And it's my name again is right here. It's spelled a little different, but clarkgarrison.com. And by the way, you can get a copy of my book there, which talks about 12 principles. A lot of the stuff we're talking about and we'll be talking about, I really have tapped into those things, and it's an easy read. Next person that's going to be coming up is out of California, wonderful individual, Mr. Mark Romero. That's coming up March 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He'll be speaking to us about sound healing technology. Do not miss that. This guy is phenomenal, and it's stuff that you've never heard, probably many of you. And if you want to learn something new, this will certainly be something that you can start implementing into your life. By the way, this is live stream. You can see all of what you just missed. If you missed any part of this, or if you want to tell your friends they missed something great, just go again to YouTube and then put in my name, Clark Garrison, and you'll see the live stream. But I will have edited pieces out, and I'll share them with Angel as well as all social media that we're on. Thank you so much. Be sure to tell a friend next time. And remember, don't be average. It's the best of the worst and the worst of the best. And you certainly don't want to be that. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you.